what's crazy, crazy real about this is that I hear people talk about how to build wealth in the country, how to build wealth in the world. What is the number one way to get out of poverty? Every single time I hear someone tell me that it's investing in the stock market, and if it's not that, and it's holding on to houses, and I'll tell you, yes, real estate for sure. Yes, I'll totally say investment, but nothing beats starting a business. Hands down, 100%. Every time I think about the days when I used to put Jada and Maya to bed hungry, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the money. Investing in the stock market wasn't an option for me. Buying real estate wasn't an option for me. The number one way to build wealth for me from this chair, hands down, all day long, it is making a decision to start a business. Starting a business was the only answer for me. I made $10.22 an hour. I have 2 children. They're 18 months apart. That was the reality of my life, which means that, yeah, in theory, you could have talked to this mom. My kids were going to school. You could have totally talked to me about investing in the stock market, but my $10.22 an hour was $1,000 per child to put them in preschool, which means I was literally negative $400 before I even thought about rent, food, diapers, formula. That doesn't even make sense. So which means that in my mind, you can't talk to me about investing in the stock market, because I'm going to be like, well, what am I going to do with that? Now, here's the other side of that. Go and buy a house. Yes, it's true. Absolutely. I'm sure that, yes, today in today's market, just like kind of called cheats way long ago, you can totally buy a house with no money. But that overwhelmed mind, that person who was just not in hustle mode, but I was like in survival mode, you couldn't have talked to me about that either. Starting a business, Rick, you're so right. Starting a business is the number one way, period, to make money. Hey, Aunt Shantisha, how you doing? So starting a business is an absolute number one way to take yourself from, I don't have money, I don't have the option, we'll never get there, I'd like to buy this. For me, I just wanted to stop putting the kids to bed hungry. I wanted to be able to go to the store and buy a full cart of groceries. I wanted to do some of the simple things that I couldn't do on my little $10.22 an hour. When I started a business, I did not have a college education. I did not have any licenses. I didn't have any certifications. I wasn't in the right place at the right time. I don't have any rich family members. I just didn't have any of those things, and I wasn't lucky. All of the things that I saw inside of other people, I just felt like I couldn't. Starting a business allowed me to go from not just making money. I gave myself hope. That's number one. But 2, I created my own opportunity. Now that back then, my goal was not to create a 7-figure business. My goal was not to even do that. I just wanted to, I made $10.22 an hour. That's $22,000 a year. You know what I mean? I really, honest to God, I just wanted to get to like 50,000. To me, that was like rich. I would be like Taj Mahal. I'd be like riding in a Bentley. In my mind, I was like, we're doing this thing at $50,000. I think if I had gotten to 30, I would have thought that I won the lotto. My reality is that there was no other option for me, and all of the other things that I was hearing people talk about at that time and creating wealth and making more money, they were over my head, because I'm like, here's the reality. In real estate, I need money. I have to have good credit in order for that to happen. I have to have things. I have to have assets. Something has to happen. There has to be like a prerequisite in order for that to happen. That was not happening for Tiffany Largie. I didn't even have, my credit couldn't even have bought me a pencil. You understand? There was no way, shape, form, figure. I didn't have any loans. I had no one who could help co-sign. That stuff was out of the door. That's that. Now, forget that for being wealth. The stock market, sure, totally we can invest money, but you have to have money in order for that to happen. What I absolutely love about being in business, and why next year in 2019, I'm going to stand as loud as I can and say, start a business. Start a business took my little family of 3 from going to bed hungry on a regular basis, moving from place to place, not really, there wasn't a couch, was another couch, to building 3 multiple 6-figure businesses, and I went on to build a multiple 7-figure business. And I'm so excited about that, because man, if Tiffany Largie can do it, and I didn't invent anything, I don't do anything really cool, I feel like Anybody can do it. I built a 7-figure business. I had 15 employees and 3 offices, and life was not perfect by no means. We were not swimming in cash, but I learned the other day, I learned 3 years ago that of all the business owners in the United States, only 1.7% of them get to 7 figures. That's crazy. For me to think that I was in the top 2% of all people who run a business, and more importantly, all I did was I started right where I was with what I actually had and the resources and skills that I had at that moment. A lot of times we hear about businesses and it's like, oh, you can start a business, but you've got to do some training, you've got to do education, you got to walk down a road, you need to take a class, you need a license, a certification. Oh my gosh, you need all these things. And then what are you going to do in the interim? What are you supposed to do in the interim? Like, what are you supposed to do while you go back to school for the 4 years? Like, I think it's the stupidest idea on the planet to go back to school for 4 years for me to then come back out and make the $50,000. One of the greatest moves that I did, or I had at that time, was conquering my own fears, going and opening up a book. And I just looked at a long list of businesses that you could start for under $100. And that's how I started my very first business. I wish it were like glamorous and pretty, but it's not. It was so simple. It was hard. I didn't know what I was doing. And as a woman and as a Black woman, I felt like no one wanted to tell me how to do it. I felt like that I didn't have friends to talk to. There weren't people for me to connect with. Like, it was always so bad because and Google didn't really exist then, We were still in the AOL CDs, I'm being trying to put those damn things inside. And the truth is that I wanted to ask people questions, but I couldn't. I wanted to find out, well, how do you make this? How do you make a proposal? What is that? There were so many things, but I'll tell you what, I was willing to forgo and to go down that road that was scary, that was uncomfortable, that was unknown, simply because me working for someone else at $10.22 an hour, where they told me what I could and could not do, what they told me, what if it wasn't what I could and could not do, when I had to show up, when I had to pee, Maya and Jada were sick all the time. And I remember Maya was sick once, and Maya's my middle baby. And Maya was sick once, and she went to the hospital. She had pneumonia for like 30 days. And I remember it was the end of the world every time they got sick, because I had to beg people to help me, to allow me to take care of the kids. And I'm the only caregiver. There's no one else around. I don't have any help. And I have to ask permission to stay home with the children who are sick. Like, what kind of logic does that make? My statement to the world today is, if you do not have a business, start a business. Marvin, you are so right. It is so great to see you, old friend. It is the truth. 80% of that is a fact, and most people don't know that 80% of the stock market is owned by the top 1%. Those avenues of making money and acquiring wealth, they're myths. And then what happens is, and what we do is, we sit around and we try to go after it. I'm not saying you can't make money in the stock market. I want everyone to be clear. I'm not saying that you cannot make money in real estate, but you have to have something in order to create something. And if you don't have, you cannot do. If you start a business, you don't need anything. I started my very first business with nothing more than I borrowed about $80 from people to buy materials to put in a basket. I didn't even have a business card back then. I started my second business, which was my very first 6-figure business, and the only investment we made was in a postcard. My third business, by then I became a pro at ordering things off of from Office Depot, because they would make my business card for $26.99. I mean, the reality is that the only thing I needed was my willingness. I needed my not even confidence, because it's like I wasn't super confident. I was actually a lot of afraid. Man, I used to knock on doors. I used to knock on, my first business was in baskets, and I used to knock on a lot of doors every day. But what was real is that I knocked on these doors and I was scared. I was afraid. But the fear of going back to non-opportunity land, to everyone else owns my time land, to Tiffany Largie has no options land, to I am just another number. No one really cares about what's happening to me in my life. Like, land, like, are you flipping kidding me? Absolutely not. I'm such, I am one of the big things for me now in the company that I run today and Onwards to Freedom. Yes, isn't this, so funny? I have like 40 people who stopped me today about this doggone shirt. This is one of our company shirts. What's interesting is that I just left a VIP day. I just had a client who flew in from, Michigan, Chicago, flew in here to Los Angeles, and we were working late into the night downtown. And I'm literally just getting in. And as I was thinking, my last words to her, we're talking about the importance of people starting a business. And it's about, you talk about strengthening the family, strengthening the marriage, strengthening kids, strengthening ... You can name it, strengthening self-confidence, starting a business, having the ability to make what you're worth. Oh my gosh, like, are you flipping kidding me? I'll tell you what, that is the smartest decision I've ever made. And today I started a business simply by now I run another company that I would have never dreamed possible simply by being willing to tell my story. And we have this worldwide community movement called Onwards to Freedom that is crazy bigger than me. But I'll tell you what, I'm here now, but it all started with me taking the first scary step of launching and starting a business and facing my fears and standing in the gap for myself because I felt like no one else would stand for me. Standing in the gap for those doggone children I was obsessed with. We actually, we have a beta that we're doing. It starts tomorrow, and I have one of our coaches who's running it. And what's interesting is that, for so long since I've been in business running this company, we really start in the middle. So our specialty is taking companies that are doing, they've already been in business for years. They've already been to coaching programs. They've already dealt with other people. My specialty is getting that person from here to there quickly. And it's not just revenue-wise, because I'm tired of just revenue-wise. Cash, anybody can teach you how to make spikes of cash. It's totally different to learn how to master making money and how to feel good inside and how to start a movement. That's everything I'm about. Now, what's crazy about that is that I had an epiphany this year, and I said, what market we're missing? I said, the person that I really need to serve is somewhere over here. They're me 15 years ago going, I need someone to connect with. I need to ask questions. And so we're running a beta that starts tomorrow. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, in this beta, it's simple. It's us teaching people how to actually start their business, how to start a business and how to get it off the ground. We had an old program that we never really sold. It sits inside of something called Freedom 52. And I'm like, I've started so many businesses and I watch all of our clients. I just had a client coach. I should write an article about it. I was so excited. We had a client today who called me and she's like, I'm celebrating. I'm like, why? She's like, I had another almost $40,000 a month. And I'm stupid excited about that. She's one of our private clients. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's everything. From where she came from when coming to work with us about a year ago. And I said to myself, all of this is exciting, but it's the getting off the ground is just the hardest part. So I had this crazy idea a week ago because everything we do, we try to test it live. So that way I know that it works. That way I know that it's great content. And we're gonna put ourselves in a winning seat because we're not just gonna create a program and then put it out. We're actually going to allow people to work with us for 8 weeks. It's a beta. It's an 8-week beta, and every single week it is activities and very specific, strategic, simple moves that are made to get the person off the ground, in motion, in business, and actually making a sale. What's important about that is that first sale is everything. That first sale and being able to do it consistently and having a solid foundation is everything. So for $20 a week, we put out this crazy $20 a week. Under $100, I should say. We have this beta that we're offering. And why? Because we want X amount of people in the program, and we want to be able to get feedback at the end so that we can kill it, make it great, and then sell it in 2019 for much more money. It's really simple. Now, what's important about that is I'll say this. If this is you, if you know for a fact, hey, Sharon, how you doing? If you know, Jim, what's going on? Marvin. Yeah, we should. It's been forever since we talked. I'm going to be in Tampa in about a week. I'm taking clients to Cuba this weekend. I'm taking some clients to Cuba. And on my way back, I'm stepping in for a business meeting. I'll be in Tampa for a couple of hours. I'm going to fly in real quick and fly back to Los Angeles. So absolutely, yeah, for sure. Totally game. What's really, really clear about this for me, though, is that I know that getting started and getting off the ground is not just important, but it's vital. So I'm making a really simple invitation. We have 3 seats left, I believe, or 3, maybe 4, but I think it's 3 seats left for this beta. We start tomorrow. Literally, there is a start and a stop. It is 8 weeks. It is under $100. And at the end, we're going to ask you for some feedback, but you're going to watch me build a brand new program live in the room. And more importantly, it is the core of being able to have an actual person. So this is not just modules and videos, just have an actual person, me and one of our team leaders here at Onwards to Freedom, who's going to be knee deep day by day, because our goal is to push the envelope as much as we possibly can within that person's parameters. Are they a caregiver? Do they work a full-time job? What is the reality of that workload? Will they be able to support it? You know, all of those fashions, because yeah, you could have told me things, a million things 15 years ago, but it's like, man, if my life dictates that I don't feel well 30% of the day, no, I can't go and do all X activity. If my life dictates that half of my time I'm taking care of a really sick child, then I've got to be able to respond to that. You know, one of the things that I despise the most is these kind of one size fits all kind of a thing, because I've realized, I asked myself this question. I never bought a coaching program. I bought a book. I went to a Tony Robbins event, great event over a decade plus ago, and I went to the event, but I didn't really get to the next steps. And I always ask myself, why? Because every time I went to those places, I guess I never felt like they were talking to me. They didn't understand the fact that when I get back home, I've got 2 kids that are 18 months apart. There is no dad. There is no grandma. There is no family members. And it is me emotionally carrying this bag. And more importantly, that I was knocking on 45 doors every single day just to figure out how to put food on the table. It's like my life from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. was locked down. So you couldn't tell me about working or networking or doing all these things that would take all X amount of time, because I just didn't have it. Like, I just didn't have it. Yeah, if you need this, someone's asking. Yes, totally, I'm so sorry. Send me a private message. We have 3 spots left. It's really simple. It's under $100. There's no gimmicks. There's nothing. We're not here to sell you. I'm literally putting, we have put this together because we're testing it. We will be selling it in January. And I decided that I just want to test it live with actual people. And I'm going to be heavily involved in the group. If you've ever wanted to work with me, it's a great, I mean, you'd be crazy not to do it. It's under $100. I mean, you can't lose. But more importantly, we're so interested in seeing how far we can push the envelope within that certain person's avatar, like, capacity, that we're almost willing to try anything, if that makes sense. There is nothing like it. It is absolutely, yeah, we'd love to have, we'd love. I would say this, hands down, I can't tell you, how excited I am just thinking about more people, more families, more men, more women, more couples starting a business, taking control of their own life, taking control of their own destiny. I live in the city of my dreams today. I live in the heart of Los Angeles. I'm 10 minutes away from Beverly Hills. I'm 7 minutes away from Universal Studios. The Hollywood Walk of Fame is 15 minutes. Like, I love where I live. You know, my kids go to great schools. They don't go to private school, but we live in a, you know, like, I still don't believe sometimes that this is my life. My life is not perfect. My gosh, last year I was sick for 7 months. I mean, I was sick. I got dealt a life card, like a lot of us do, where we wake up one day and we find out parts of our bodies just decide to stop working. And yeah, we can blame it on this, that, and the other. We can do a bunch of things. I'm going to tell you what, I've been living a long time, and I don't think there's anything that I did to cause X. And whether I did or did not, hands down, is one of the scariest times of my life. And I don't talk about it enough, but I think in 2019, I'll be adding it to my story, because it was very emotionally tough for me. I had 3 surgeries, and the last was life-saving, where I was rushed to the emergency room, and I had a very quick surgery that lasted 6 hours. And, you know, I think to myself all the time, my family would have never been able to weather that storm if it was not for my business. And not for me being in business. And I don't mean this business. I mean just me being in business. And I think back to when I was working in Miami, and the everyday felt like the end of the world because somebody was sick. I actually lost my job because I had pancreatitis. I only tell this story from the stage a few times because I still get upset every time I think about it. I'm just pissed off. I'm sick. I have Jada and Maya. We live in Sunrise, Florida, and I work further south in a place called Miramar. And I'm really sick, and I won't get into the details, but I find out I collapse and I have pancreatitis. I'm in the hospital, and long story short is I'm in the hospital. I'm admitted to the hospital, call the back the job 2 days on day 2. And I'm like, they're like, oh my gosh, Tiffany, we're so worried about you. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, that's so glad you called, whatever. And then my manager, I won't say her name, but she was like, and this is where I make $10.22 an hour, but this is what's feeding us. This is what's like keeping us together. So I'm like all in on this thing. You know what I mean? Like I am there. And what's real is that at this moment, I'm sitting in the hospital. I feel like the world's coming to an end. I call back the job because I need this job. This is all we have. There is no more to my story. There is no child support. There is no WIC. There is nothing. I'm still today on the don't let me start cursing, on the waiting list in Dade County for support for those doggone kids. Like don't even get me started. So I'm $10.22 an hour. And I'm in the hospital. It's day 2. I'm in pain. I find out I have pancreatitis. I didn't know before. And I call the job, talk to the lady. She's like, oh my God, no. And then she's like, hey, let me transfer you to HR. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course. And she tells me who she's going to transfer me to, because that's the woman who I'd interviewed with earlier that year, because I had not been in the job for a year. And I could feel it like it was yesterday. Talking to this lady, and she's like, hi, Tiffany, how are you doing? Oh my God, such and such told me, and And I'm like, yeah. Now I'm just on the phone in the bed, you get it? And I'm just like, yes, listen, they say that I should be out in a few days, and blah, 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 blah. And I told her the hospital I'm in, and blah, blah. And she's like, oh, but here's the thing, you don't have any sick time. I'll never forget it, because I'm like, what? What does that mean? Like, this is not sick. I'm in the hospital. Like, I'm in a bed, and we can send you pictures, and the doctor's saying I physically cannot walk out the door. And she's like, oh, but you don't have any more time left. We feel horrible. But here's the thing. You have 3 days before you're considered going, what's that word? AWOL? AWOL? Is that the right word? Before you're considered going AWOL. And then once that happens, you're considered like you forfeited your job. And I'm on this phone listening to this woman, and I'm like, I guess maybe I'm too young, I'm too inexperienced, because I'm like, it's not computing in this brain. Like, Tiffany Largie is not getting it. I'm silent on the phone because I'm trying to understand, what do you expect me to do? Like, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean, you know? And she's like, I know, I'm so sorry, but the rules are the rules, and the policy, our company policy says that once you're not here for 3 days, you're considered going AWOL, and you forfeit your job. So if you don't come in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., you forfeit your job. I'm having a near heart attack because I'm thinking to myself, one, what do you want me to do? I physically cannot actually could not physically get out of the bed. And I'm like, it's crazy. It's asinine city. And, when I say to her, what do you expect me to do? She's like, I don't know. I'm sorry, honey, but this is the rule. Like, these are the rules. This is what it is. That was the first and last time for me. I was silent forever because I really needed that job. I needed the money. I needed the next paycheck. I mean, I needed it all. It was like the end of the world, and I thought I was just going to die. But I was so mad, so angry, and so hurt because I felt even more alone than I already felt, that I said to her, well, then we'll send somebody to pick up my things in the morning. And I said that facetiously. I really didn't have a game plan. I didn't really have anybody to go pick up those things, but I did. I said that. And it was such a game changer for me, because had I not made that move, I don't know that I would have started a business. Like, some people start a business because they have a great idea, because they have something they want to give birth to. I did. I just wanted to stop being broke. And I wanted to stop being hungry. And I wanted to stop being without. And I wanted to stop just feeling like the end of the world. And I really just wanted to get to 40,000. Without a college education, no one wanted to touch me. They wanted me to be a receptionist. And at that time, it was like, man, what my height goal was, dream-wise, job-wise? Administrative assistant, because I heard that they made $35,000 a year. It was the truth. That was the height. That was like everything to me. I was like, man, if I could just get that title, then I would get this job, and I'd get to $35,000 a year, and we'd be, driving Bentleys. I buy each kid a Bentley in my mind. Starting a business is not optional. Starting a business is everything. It's tied to your confidence. It's tied to your value. It's tied to your ability to contribute to the planet. It's tied to you telling your story and feeling whole real. It's tied to you making dreams a reality. It's tied to you being able to see new versions of yourself. It's tied to you pushing and pulling yourself in ways you never thought possible. It's just tied to so flipping much that, man, I'm going to say starting a business is everything. Or if you started a business but you haven't launched, getting it out into the world is like, man, you talk about the best medicine you can take. There is nothing greater in my day, in my week, after spending time with my children, than spending time with our clients, than being inside of their stories, than doing the work I do. It is literally the most exciting part of every day. It is the most exciting part of every day. I live it and I breathe it, and I'm almost obsessed with it. And I don't think I'm obsessed with working. I think I'm not. I'm obsessed with the transformation that happens. I'm obsessed with watching other people win in ways they never thought possible. I'm obsessed with pushing the envelope. I'm obsessed with defying odds. I'm obsessed with seeing other underdogs who are just like me, who have been told by other people that they trusted that they're not enough, they'll never make it, it won't happen for them. I'm addicted to watching them just do the damn thing, literally. Like, it is so exciting. But every time I think about how does it start, it started with me making a decision to change my life, and it started with me starting a business and being willing literally to do the damn thing. Which is why when I'm not on stage and in heels, I am 100%, I have to remind myself, like all of our clients and our followers around the world, all of our family members, I have to, because I have to be reminded, even at this level, that it's so time for me to do the damn thing, even at a new level, even at a new place, which is why if you haven't gotten started, I want to invite you to join us, period. It is very simple. It is 8 weeks. It's under $100. You cannot win. You pay a little amount every week, so you're not just making this big payment. We're not making no big money off of this. We're not going to get rich quick off of that, by no means. I absolutely am going to build a massive, simple program for this avatar. That does not include run Facebook ads. That does not include, launch a world-class webinar. That does not include create a digital course necessarily. Like, every time I look at all the options to get started as a business, I see all the things I could not do 15 years ago. Like, I built a $2.5 million company, and I had never even sold a product online. We never online, the internet. I never sold anything on the internet. Are you kidding me? We barely had our website was like a website in a box. Like, we didn't do any of that stuff. If I can build a $2.5 million company offline, then that single mom can make a $50,000 in additional income to her world. That dad can bring home another $45,000. That brother who's taking care of his family can bring home another $75,000. Like, I know it for a fact because I live and breathe it. And so for me, it's like, man, my number one goal is not just to create a program, but it's to create it for this person. Because I know the people who are attracted to my story, the people who we're meant to serve, they're a lot like me. They see all the technology. It's not that they're overwhelmed, but that's not where they are mentally or emotionally, and they can't support that. They need it simple. They need it with stuff that they can do at this moment without a learning curve. Because anytime you add a learning curve to a human or a person who's just fighting for their life, you know what you do? You put them in a place in which they're like, if they don't get there, then they're not enough. If they don't get there, it won't work. If they don't get there, they can't make it happen. And it's like, what happens if I don't get through the learning curve? You know what I mean? What happens if I don't finish the course? Does that mean that I'm not enough? You know, the number one reason why I despise school at this point, and it's tough because I have teenagers now. I have kids. I have, of course, they might be interested in going to school. But for me, I'm like, every time I talk to someone in my early 20s, the only thing they ever encouraged me to do, they were like, oh, if you go to school, then you'll be enough. If you'll go to school, then you'll have value. If you finish school, then your life will start. And I was like, but I'm here right now. Am I okay enough at this moment? I won't support it, and I'm not going to contribute to it, which is 100% why I'm making this simple invitation, because I know for a fact that everybody has the capacity at this moment. Look at that, that's pain. Everybody has the capacity at this very moment, right where they are, to build, create, and do whatever it is that's inside of their heart. I've done it time and time again without all of the hoopla. And when I walked into this industry, I was told again, no, you have to have a list of a trillion people. You got to have Facebook group and all this stuff. We just left the stage in Las Vegas. I just left doing my last of the year signature event in Las Vegas. We sold out our highest ticket. I shouldn't say I sold out. We corner the room. We only allow a certain amount of people. The highest ticket is $1,400, and we didn't have not one resident online. We had one resident from the state of Nevada, which means that all the other people in that room flew in. We didn't run a Facebook ad. We did not leverage our Facebook group. We didn't do any of that stuff. And I'm not saying it's not good, but it's like sometimes, like me, when you're in, like when life is happening and it's dealing you cards and it's not easy and you're frustrated and you're angry and you're like, I just need something to work. Like, you can't have complicated shit in front of you. You just need simple stuff. That's the way I am. That's why I was like, sell on the internet. People were like, you should sell on the internet. I was like, what? I can't do that. Mentally, I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to get to the next day. I'm just trying to make some money so I can feed these kids. I'm trying to keep my head up. I'm trying to keep my confidence together. I'm trying to keep my emotions intact here. Like, you can't give me more things that are just going to weigh me down. No, you got to give me something I can do right now as I am, with these hands, with this mouth, with this brain, because this is all I got. That is 100% why I'm like, you know what? If in any way, shape, form, figure, if that resonates with you, you should totally join us. And let's say you see this after we have started this beta, you should just join us regardless. Because I'll tell you one thing, you don't have to, I can't tell you many people who come to our events and are part of our world and they don't buy the product, but they come every single time and they get the transformation. And you know why? Because when I'm there, we give, which is why I'm like, man, under $100 a month, under $100, you literally should just come and hang out with us for 8 weeks. Bring your idea, your dream, and more importantly, what hasn't gotten off the ground, because this is a little bit of a taking a step back and a broad way of saying we're all in, because we want to figure out, how do we get the result? How do we get you to win? How do we get more people? The other day, someone told me that still the industry standard of people who are completing courses and success rate and all of that is like at still around 14% of all people. I'm like, oh, that's so bad. And you know, a lot of times everyone tells me, oh, it's like that because the person doesn't do the work, they're lazy, they don't apply it. I'm like, no, that's not. I won't believe that. You know why? Because I look at our community. I've had, you know, we're probably at a retention rate of around between 64 to 75%. And I'm really proud of that. And when I survey our clients, because I ask questions. If I'm in the room with them, I'll pop questions. I need the data. I need to know. I don't want to, I learned the hard way of guessing and information. And I'm like, I know for a fact that not only are we winning, but it's not just that we're winning in business, we're winning in life as well. And half of the journey is that we're the kind of teachers that don't leave kids behind. Not every kid learns the same way. I am that child. And not everybody gets it the first time. Not everybody understands it. I'm not going to look at a person and be like, oh, you're not doing the work, or you're lazy, or, you know, this is over your head, or you need to sign up for another program in order for you to get that. We're not running that game. Zero chance, which is why I don't know. I'm guessing because I don't know this. But I feel like we have the same people. I've had the same team since I've started. I've had a lot of the same clients, not even clients, people in our community. And of course, there are a handful of people who are not with us any longer, but it doesn't change the fact that, man, when I look at what we've accomplished over here, I'm like, if I could just take that to people in the beginning, people who are the most afraid still, because the people who have already leaped to come to work with us, I'm like, okay, they've already made the leap. They've conquered some of their fears, even if they still have more to go. But my heart is with the people over here who still got children at home and brothers with cerebral palsy and wives who are battling cancer, and they just need real world problems solved. Or maybe they're putting their kids to bed hungry like me. That's who I'm after. They're over here somewhere, and I gotta find them. I gotta help them win. So I need the information. So I actually silently, selfishly need you to join us, because I need the data. I need the information, because I know if we can go outside of our community to people who've never worked with us before and see, and can we produce a result? Can we get, and I know we can, because I've watched what we've been able to do, but what does it take for the man, the woman, the black, the white, the young, the old, the person who lives in an apartment, in the house, who has a husband, who doesn't have a husband, who comes from corporate, who doesn't come from corporate, single mom, that's exactly where we are. So I'm going to say this, my 5 cents for today, it wrapped up with these 3 sentences, and then I'm going to go, ready? So number 1, absolutely got to start a business. Number 2, wealth for me, stocks and how real estate comes second. They don't come first. And what comes first is starting a business. Okay, that's number 2. And number 3, dun, da, 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 number 3 says, do the damn thing. I love you to pieces. Bye.